I'm in my zone, I feel like I'm alone. I feel like I'm unknown to the world that's full of clones. My originality's focused on principalities broken. I'm loaning my heart and soul to the game that's scared to pay it back. And failure is a motherfucker. The strength to go on and believing in another sucker who don't see the vision in you. So you gotta work harder times two. Gotta make it do what it do. With the limited sources you have, your dream is still a find motivation in you and inspire the world to do what you can. If you love it, then fuck it, get through it. Yeah. Mumble mentality activated. I waited for so long. Get burdens, I'm outweighted. When you see me in my zone.
Damn. Ladies and gentlemen, what is happening? As you can see by this screen, there was only two. But you couldn't ask for a better dynamic duo to hold down the fort here at Gentleman's Talk than the man Outlaw himself and myself, GQ, or better known sometimes as Mr. GQ Majors. I'm going to go by tonight, and Outlaw Downey Jr. over here. So we going to do what we do. You're going to see a level of natural chemistry that you've probably never seen before. Obviously, if you are new to this and not true to this yet, obviously myself and Outlaw here are actually biological brothers. So there's that part of it. But even if for some odd reason we were not ever biological brothers, we would have 100% been very good friends because we think very much alike and we understand and think on different levels, but they mesh so well. So welcome to the show. Outlaw, how is life treating you today, my brother?
Oh man, it's been good, man. It's been good. Been a one hot day. The rain left, and now just 115 degrees. But man, summer been nice. I've done a lot of good things. How about yourself, bro?
Man, it definitely feel like a sauna in this bitch. It definitely like it was when I got to work this morning. It was already 85 degrees, and I said, "This is disrespectful. Like, I should not feel this hot this early."
It's only gonna get worse, bro. We ain't in August yet.
No, not till tomorrow. Tomorrow we get into August. So today, as we wrap up July, the prelims of hurricane season have approached us and left us quickly, and now we are about to reach the prime of hurricane season here in Texas. So for those, if you know, you know, and if you don't, you might find out. Just watch the news. But let's get to, I guess we'll call it the bombshell of bombshells that happened over the weekend, which if you are a big time comic book nerd or, you know, Marvel DC nerd, like some of us really are, you all saw the reveal of Robert Downey Jr. making the arguably the greatest heel turn, to use a WWE term, in cinematic history, going from one of the most iconic heroes for a little bit was not really talked about as much now, to one of the more iconic villains, going from Iron Man to Dr. Doom. So, Outlaw, your initial thoughts on the reaction when you first saw this?
Man, that was out of left field. Like, Doom is one of my favorite villains, and Robert Downey Jr. is actually one of my favorite actors. And I found out that years ago he actually auditioned to be Dr. Doom in the OG Fantastic Four movie back in 2004, but he didn't get the role because at the time he was still blacklisted in Hollywood due to his long tenure as a drug addict, which he's overcome. And
you're talking about the Fantastic Four that had Chris Evans playing Johnny Storm, like
okay,
and
Jessica Alba,
okay,
yeah. So in a weird meta sense, it's kind of poetic that the role he auditioned for 20 years ago, he finally has. But narratively speaking, are we getting Victor Von Doom, or are we getting Tony Stark disguised as an alternate universe Dr. Doom? Like, what is the storyline here?
That's a good question, because obviously before the big reveal of Dr. Doom, we had the reveal of Fantastic Four and like basically an origin story, basically.
And they're in a different universe from the main MCU universe.
And because this Fantastic Four film is starting, like, it feels like it's giving you that 1950s, 60s vibe with the way everything is kind of esque. Yeah. So we're getting that. You know, we got the Fantastic Four characters going into space for the first time. You know, they all got their fancy patches. Like, we all saw the little trailers. If you didn't check the highlights out or just watch San Diego Comic-Con, all these things were revealed. So we're not dropping any spoilers. If you haven't seen it by now, you must be asleep. But there's a lot of strong opinions about Fantastic Four as well. There are a lot of people that are not a big fan of Mr. Fantastic. They didn't like the mustache. They didn't
They don't
like
like
any of it.
Pedro Pascal.
No, they just. I'm like,
I had
is
heard the rumors about his casting before it was announced, and he wasn't my first pick for Mr. Fantastic. I've been wanting John Krasinski for
yeah,
years,
and
and he
yeah,
played him in Multiverse of Madness, but I felt like that was more of a cameo than an actual fully fledged role.
yeah, but I think John Krasinski, like he had the look, like the way they did the white hairs, like
Yeah,
everything. Like John Krasinski literally looked like if you took the comic book version and made it into a real life character, it was John Krasinski. It looked amazing, and of course
and
we
his
know
wife, Emily could have played the
100%.
Invisible Woman.
It would
Yeah.
have been beautiful, but it's like here was my take on, because I saw and heard the same rumors you did about Pedro Pascal. Like this story had been out there for a long time about Pedro Pascal and playing Mr. Fantastic. So we knew it probably was going to happen unless they were going to throw us for a loop. But the way I view it is the same way, and you might agree with this, you may not, but it looks the same as when they casted George Clooney as Batman.
Yeah.
Because Pedro Pascal for the last, can we say 4 years, has been really, really popular, really, really hot.
He's blown up.
And the same concept when George Clooney was cast as Batman, he was the hottest actor. He was like one of the sexiest men in America. You know,
some folks said he was too handsome to be Bruce Wayne at the time.
Yeah, which is false, which is false, because every single Bruce Wayne depiction, he's a handsome guy. He's a 6'4", 6'5" handsome man. Like he's a billionaire. Like, what do you mean? Like, so George Clooney just had the most melanin out of all the Batmans. That's pretty much it. Because he was darker.
I feel like out of all the Batmans, I feel like George Clooney actually looks like what I would imagine Batman to look like in real life.
If it wasn't him, it would have been the way Christian Bale looked. Like I would have saw either of the two, and it wouldn't have hurt my feelings one bit. Let me catch up on our comments here. See what I know Sherrod stuck at work. He said, let's see, it's gonna be Victor Von Doom, but he's not gonna be in Fantastic Four. Yeah, the way they need to build Fantastic Four the right way. They can't just throw Robert Downey Jr. in there yet.
Yeah, I don't want them to jump right into Doom.
We've already seen them royally fuck up Fantastic Four and X-Men multiple times. Like let's trust the Russo brothers to do what they do and build this the right way. All right, Moolid, what's the deal? Oh, yeah, man. I was gonna ask you about that yesterday, man. I seen you in the dental chair with your little blue beard on, man. I hope you rest up, heal up, man. Hope you're good for this week. China, what's the deal? How you doing? Glad to see you making an appearance. Make sure you tell your homegirl to come on through on time this time. She said she was late last time, so go on, bring her to the fold here. But kind of back on, but I'm not entirely opposed to Pedro Pascal. Like I don't see it as like a bad thing. It's a different.
He's a phenomenal actor. It's out of left field.
Because I'm sure we were all fans of him from The Last of Us and everything else. Like it's not like we haven't seen a body of work, so we know it can be done. Speaking, going back to San Diego Comic-Con, we'll be bouncing back between Marvel and DC just a little bit, so y'all bear with us. What did you think about DC finally rebranding their logo and combining their cinematic and their animated universe into one logo?
Honestly, I feel like DC's animated movies have slapped for like the last 15, 16 years.
Probably our whole life.
Yeah, it goes back way before that because like, one of their first movies is Mask of the Phantasm.
Yes. Have you ever seen a bad DC animated film? Like one that you thought was just trash? Like wouldn't go back and watch it again?
The second Wonder Woman animated movie sucked. And I want to say 2 of the Green Lantern ones sucked. There was like one decent one and the other 2 really sucked.
Yeah. I think I know which Green Lantern one you're talking about, because the newer one that came out was actually pretty interesting. The origin story one that was on HBO Max. That one's actually pretty interesting. But like even like what's so wild about the DC animated universe is they've gotten away with even the crossover stuff that we've seen, that you and I were even talking about when they did Justice League with the RWBV or whatever, when they did that 2-part series crossover. That was actually dope. And I'm sure I showed you the Suicide Squad crossover that they did.
Yeah, the anime Suicide Squad.
Even that worked. And of course, we all saw the Batman Ninja film, which I was a huge fan of. I thought Batman and Ninja
Turtles one too, I think.
Yeah, they did do a Batman and Ninja Turtle crossover. But like, I personally, I would love to see them adapt I think the Batman Ninja one could be adapted into a live action film, and I think it would be really good if they really took their time with it, because it's so interesting.
All I want from DC, bro, all I want is a Batman Beyond movie, whether it's
Bro,
live action or animated. Just give me a Batman Beyond movie, and I'll
fuck
never
that.
ask for shit else.
I want both. I want both. Because
Man,
we grew up with Batman Beyond, and we were huge fans of Terry McGinnis and the whole thing. And then we were all shocked when we found out how Terry was created. And you can't tell me if they adapt that into the live action version that shit wouldn't hit. Like, bro, you were basically a test tube injected creation of sorts. Like, bro, that's a
that was a
wild
wild
ass
plot.
story.
That was a wild
Like,
plot.
yeah, like that's a wild ass plot twist. And then as Terry got older, you started to really see the resemblance between him and Bruce. And you're like,
It makes
that's
sense.
kind of, yeah. I was like, all right, because when Terry went back to go see Amanda Waller when she was like old and retired, you were like, my God, you really do look like 25-year-old Bruce Wayne right now, even though you really was like, I want to say he's probably about 30 when that depiction was going on. But
My
anyway,
fan theory was that his parents divorced because the dad thought the wife cheated because his kids didn't look nothing like him. They both parents is redheads, and you got two black-haired sons.
yeah, I mean, if that ain't sketchy, I don't know what is.
I got a Texas education, but my biology skills, I paid attention by biology.
Yeah, no, for shit, sure. But so to kind of full circle kind of tie this whole thing in, because we were talking about this in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. So now we'll bring this to the forefront with you. I want to read this that someone posted. I'll get Outlaw's take on it, then I'll bring my spin on it. But somebody was like, I want to gently lay this down right here for the Marvel congregation, and said Jonathan Majors, when he saw the Comic-Con announcement that was going to be the news of obviously Dr. Doom, the irony here is that Jonathan Majors lost his opportunity to have the MCU basically be the center of the MCU behind one scandal. Whereas Robert Downey Jr., which we talked about this in the group, the timelines are just a little bit different because at the time when Robert Downey Jr. came into the fold, Marvel wasn't fully into the Disney conglomerate just yet. Like, we were still in this limbo phase. But let's keep the main thing. We had a conversation about this some episodes back about how Disney is, because look how quick they were to fire the director of X-Men 97 off of some bullshit. You know what I'm saying? So, like, if you go and prosecute people or crucify people, whatever words you want to use, like, you know, keep that same energy across the board. But they couldn't, because at the time, Marvel wasn't what we know it as now, and Robert Downey Jr. basically became the cash cow. Like, let's just like do you think now without, like, if they would have casted Iron Man as anybody else other than Robert Downey Jr., do you see Marvel for what it is now? Like, with the Avengers, with everything, like all the other characters are the same, but do you see it without Robert Downey Jr.'s depiction of Iron Man translating like it has now?
I mean, there was rumors that Tom Cruise was supposed to get the role, but whatever happened there, we'll never know. But
yeah, but I would have hated seeing. No.
I'm not a huge Tom Cruise fan. He has some really great movies, like Edge of Tomorrow, the one with Jamie Foxx. That was really good. I like Top Gun.
Yeah, like I'm fine with Tom Cruise doing anything but a superhero movie like that.
He doesn't have the charisma for it. He's not. I don't think of him as a very charismatic hero kind of guy.
No, and I don't even know if he could have played the arrogance of Tony Stark the way that Robert Downey Jr. did, because it's like, here's the way that we can equate it perfectly. Like the way Robert Downey Jr. played Tony Stark, not just Iron Man, Tony Stark.
He was a lovable asshole. I feel like Tom Cruise has just been an asshole.
And it's the same way that, like, we can't see anybody but Ryan Reynolds playing Deadpool type of, like, it's that level.
They're born for that role.
Because Deadpool is Ryan Reynolds' normal, natural personality. Like, if you ever listen and watch him in interviews, he's always been this way. Even if you go back to the Blade Trinity days, he's been the same guy. Like, it's kind of weird that he's kind of naturally been Deadpool his whole life. Like, he was made for the role. That's how I felt about Robert Downey Jr. playing Iron Man. Despite how you feel about his past, and all the other things, he fits that Tony Stark role so well that it's like, it's unreal. How it's like the way some of these actors seamlessly, like, encapsulate what we read in comics, what we see on TV when we watch, like, the animated shows and stuff like that. It's like, how? But now you can't unsee it. like we say what we say about about Black Panther and Chadwick Boseman encapsulating it so well, and it's like me personally, I can't see anybody else playing Black Panther, and that's not like a slight on anybody else, but it's just like even watching all the other movies that Chadwick Boseman did, he captured what you needed to capture to be T'Challa. Because he just like we keep talking about, he was such a charismatic type of guy and character. So like, and he was very much about his people, kind of like with Aquaman. Aquaman is all about his people. So you need an actor who can portray that side of it to perfection, which I like Jason Momoa, but I still think there may be a better character out there. We just haven't seen him yet.
I feel like he would have been a better Lobo than an Aquaman. Like, I didn't hate his Aquaman, but I feel like it could have been somebody else. Like, I don't feel like that's a role that he stole and it's going to always be his. Like, I feel like they can improve.
Yeah, no, for sure. But it is, for what it was, it was fine. But back on our, so now we know for a fact that we're going to have the Secret Wars coming out, and we know that we're going to have Avengers Doomsday.
Avengers
So
Doomsday.
we know those two are coming. The question becomes, within the scope of the MCU now, I know we've got Thundercats coming out, which don't look like them. Thunderbolts, Thundercats, whatever the fuck. I'm not the biggest fan of it either way. Like, from the small tidbits and trailers I've seen,
I don't like the lineup. I'm not excited.
I don't either.
The lineup.
It's the same way I felt. It's giving me the same vibes as the Black Widow film, which was terrible.
I didn't really care for Black Widow.
It was terrible. They fumbled the ball on that one.
They fucked up Taskmaster, and he's a dope villain.
Yeah, like exactly. Not only Taskmaster, but we know, you and I know this. We know what kind of character Black Widow is, and there's so much you could have done to make that far better.
And I feel like her movie came out way too late. Like, we already know that she's going to die in Endgame, and here you're giving us our backstory after she's already dead.
Yeah, it's like, at the same time, the way the Black Widow movie came out is the same as if they all of a sudden decided, you know what? Let's make a movie about Cyborg now. Like, why so late?
And who would be interested in seeing that, really?
Yeah, like, because it's like the things that we're talking about. Yeah, like, it's like Marvel always misses out on like the little details in some things, not all things. They don't miss a lot. Like, I got to give them their props on their cinematic universe. They don't miss a lot, but when they do miss, it looks bad. But it don't look worse than what DC does, because DC just continues to fumble, like iconic character fumbles. But I will give DC their credit, because it's like their live action shows are actually getting better. I am looking forward to this Penguin show. It actually looks like ever since they came out with Gotham, all of their shows have figured it out. So I'm with it. Like, I really do think this Penguin show is going to be really good. Like, it looks perfectly. It looks like if you took Gotham and added the Sopranos to it. Like, that's kind of the feel that you're getting, because you're getting like that crime mafia crossover boss game. Like, it looks like, we're fighting for territory. So it looks exactly like you would hope. And it's good to see the Cobblepot story being told in not such a comical way. Because we've seen the same, Cobblepot story forever. Some guy gets made fun of, all this type of shit. Then all of a sudden he comes on this epic glow up, and you're like, just tell the hard-nosed, real-ass story. Kind of like they're doing with the Joaquin Phoenix Joker, which we were like, we didn't know how to feel at first, but then
I wasn't thrilled at first, but he killed that role.
He did. Like, I didn't know, because I didn't really know a lot about Joaquin Phoenix, and I was like, let me just start, doing some research. And I was like, he had some pretty good roles that you almost forgot that he played. But then you watch the Joker film, and then if you're really a fan of, the Marvel DC thing like you and I are, you're like, wait a minute, no one's told this story yet. So we're actually getting a fresh story. And that's the thing, like, of course, Mel, he said that Joker was ass. Cool. He wasn't. Listen, Suicide Squad Joker, aka Jared Leto, was the worst Joker ever put on screen. But that's not.
I don't even know what they were thinking with that one, bro.
That's like if they turned Machine Gun Kelly into a fucking character in a film. That's what the fuck Jared Leto's Joker looked like. But and he said that's not the Joker story.
It was a Joker story. It
It
was
was
different than what we've been
yeah,
told, and
it
I
was
thought it
a
was well
story.
done.
But
Yeah.
the thing is, like, and he, Mel, you're saying that it's not the Joker story, but it's a story we've seen before. Even on the animated Batman, the animated series showed a lot of what we saw in that Joker film from that story. A failed comedian who was trying to do, trying to get it together, had a girl, had all this shit together, and then got caught up with the gangs and the mafias, got knocked into the fucking pit, and became who he was. They told it in an abbreviated version, but the concept hadn't really
The
changed.
broad strokes,
Yeah,
broad
which
strokes
is,
are there. Yeah,
man,
that's a
you
hot take.
love Jared Leto's Joker, man. You are a part of the minority, my brother, because I
I
did
wasn't
not.
I
I
wasn't
wasn't.
a fan of Machine Gun Joker.
He was like he was all right, but it wasn't like I just didn't know there was the problem with Jared Leto's Joker is there was no direction. Like of all the Jokers we've seen across we'll use a common term across the multiverse of Jokers, we've never seen a Joker like that. Like that was the most unique Joker of all the Jokers because we didn't really know timeline wise where he fit. So
They
like that, and that was my thing. I don't know where he would have fit in the Joker timeline, like his style of Joker. Because even the Joker that was more like that, I'm gonna take over Gotham with the with take over and to see that Leto was the most recent Joker adaptation.
Not exactly, because in the Batman they had the Joker behind
Mhm.
what was that, in jail. That nigga was in jail,
Yeah, he
and
was in jail the whole time.
yeah, yeah. So Batman
Yeah,
already had snatched him up. We didn't really get a good look at him, but he seemed all right.
yeah, like and that's what I'm saying. Like that particular Joker, like I said, just like in the timeline of Jokers, like even Heath Ledger's Joker fit in a timeline of Jokers. Like we understood. And I'm never not saying there's anything wrong with Heath Ledger's Joker. I'm just saying like when we saw that Joker, we felt it. We understood where he was in the timeline. Like when we saw, obviously you go way back to the iconic Jokers. Like we saw where in the timeline these Jokers fit. Like Jared Leto's Joker, it was like I've never even seen this adaptation of the Joker in anywhere. Like he said in the comics. In there, was that like a modern comic or something? I haven't read some comics in
I'm
a while.
not familiar
That's
with
a
that.
modern comic. I've never seen this take before though.
Heath Joker
Said
was
Heath
overrated.
Ledger's Joker was over it. I've never seen that, but I'm not. But coming from Mel, I'm also not surprised because Mel is our resident.
Contrarian.
You never know what you're gonna get from Mel. So we love what we get from him
Yeah, I mean,
from that
everybody's
perspective. I
entitled to
mean,
their own opinion.
100%, and
Yeah.
just yeah, and that's fine. You can feel the way you feel about Heath Ledger's Joker, and it's perfectly fine. I was a fan of that lunatic style Joker. It fit.
But
I
speaking of
mean,
opinions,
I wasn't gonna call you that, but since
oh,
you put it out
since he said it. But speaking of opinions, we really didn't address the entire Majors and Downey kind of thing entirely.
no, but we should because the way I feel about it is one of these individuals um basically got blackballed for like one incident, and the other one had a rap sheet worth of fuck ups, but got
I,
literally one of the greatest redemption arcs we've seen from a person outside of like Samuel Jackson. Like, because we know, of course, the story of Sam and him being in jail and all the other stuff. And then Eddie Murphy gave him his break, and then we see Samuel Jackson for what he is, which is ironic. We talk about Samuel Jackson, who's also in this whole thing, and he's also a redemption story.
but I feel like it's apples to oranges. Honestly, the more I thought about it, like Robert Downey Jr. actually got blacklisted from Hollywood for like a good 10 years, and like he could barely get roles because people did not want to. They just did not know if this man was going to act right on set, if he was going to show up on time, whatever. They just didn't know.
Yeah.
So Marvel took a huge gamble on him at the time, and I feel like with Jonathan Majors, I don't know, man. Like his situation is different because Robert Downey Jr. He was a crackhead. He was only hurting himself.
Yeah.
Majors, people say he did it. Some people say he didn't. I don't know the specifics of whether or not he actually hit the woman or not. But it's
Yeah,
just
like, but
his
at the same
situation is
time,
different.
yeah. But the way we live in this current and I think the other problem we're really dealing with is everything is being is amplified by social media. Like we know this. Like, and social media is like the conduit for everything. Like, people in this world literally, like, people react based on how social media reacts to a lot of things. Because back in the days before social media was what it is now, you might see this on the news, or you might have seen this on on a Yahoo thing, or something of the sort. But it is what it is. So, and you're not, Mel, you're not wrong. Yes, we know. Well, like, major situation, it just happened. It was kind of ongoing. Like, yeah, but you also just, when it's you still want to let all the facts come out, let the whole thing figure itself out. You don't cut what was going to be a monumental part of phase 4 of a major project just off of a situation, if you will.
But I feel like my take, man,
Yeah,
is has
and
he
movie.
really?
Yeah, we said that earlier too. Like, that was the thing. Once they discovered that he was the cash cow, they kind of couldn't turn back.
Yeah. The major thing, like Mel said, that was recent, man. And like Robert Downey Jr. actually had to go on a redemption journey to get to where he was at. The dude went to jail, went to rehab, had to play bit roles in independent movies for years before they gave him a chance. What work has Majors done, to redeem himself? The nigga just can't ask for his job back when he hasn't shown that he's worthy of getting his job back, like. Niggas want second chances, but don't want to do second chance deserving behavior, is my opinion on the matter.
Fair enough, but given the facts of the situation and everything else, was what he did enough to just get rid of him from screen? Like, was it enough to just take him off screen?
To my understanding, he put his hands on a woman. Now the details are murky. In my opinion, if I'm a big Hollywood studio, I'm not gonna have my leading man being accused of hitting women. That's just bad optics. That's bad. That's bad
right.
product.
They tried to recast
the
him
boys.
3 times.
That's bad product. That's bad business. So, look, it's about the money, in my opinion. Whether you be guilty
and you're
or
not
not,
wrong. But and you're not wrong. The way I'm going to view it in totality is we have to the fact that we've switched our mindset to guilty until proven innocent versus innocent until proven guilty is the problem I have. Because the way I view it, if you want to push pause on something until all the facts come out, fine. I won't stop you from that. But for them to do what they did before everything came out, it's almost like they were, I guess, in a sense, they were proactive, I guess. But when you look at it as
put a pause on it because there was the Screen Actor Guild strike that slowed down production on movies and shows.
Because we know, because it fucked up the timeline for Blade, and we still ain't got a timeline on Blade anymore. Like, that one's still fucked off.
So he wasn't actually officially fired from his role until the verdict came out. But it was obvious they'd already planned on firing that dude. Because it just looked bad to begin with.
Yeah, and Outlaw said that earlier in the show before y'all got in the chat, because we talked about him going back into the old Fantastic Four back when we didn't have Captain America just yet and all that other stuff. They really, and see,
he kind of was ass. I ain't gonna lie to you. We talked about this before the show, but
we were having a hell of a pre-show conversation.
I felt like Kang had a great start at the end of Loki. I was excited for him.
Yeah.
And then they did that Ant-Man 3 bullshit where he got killed by a bunch of ants, and I was like, that's not him.
If they would have left it, if they would have kept that momentum from the transition of Loki to the Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, like, it was those two depictions of Kang, if that's how they would have given it to us, we'd have been straight. Because that right there built up enough momentum to her, like, oh yeah, when we gonna get the next, when we gonna see Kang again, or when we gonna this, that, and the third. But then, like Outlaw said, they literally built all this momentum up and said, you know what? Let's fuck this dude up and, get a bunch of ants on his ass. Like, that literally just looked like, that made that man look weak, even though Kang has a ton of variants. But they made the main variant, as Outlaw pointed out when we were having this conversation pre-show, is if this had not been the main Kang himself, the main Kang, which sounds so weird to say, it would have been different. If it had just been any other variation, a copy, whatever the case, it would have been fine. But they used what would have basically been like the equivalent of using Perfect Cell and letting Chao Zhu beat his ass.
Basically,
like, that's how it happened, you know. And then let's see here. Moose said Kang didn't land like it was supposed to. But see, here's my slight pushback when you say it didn't land like it was supposed to, because it was the same way with Black Panther. Because Black Panther landed with the culture perfectly. Because, oh, we got a black superhero, da da da. But if you looked at all the other forums, those who weren't big into the comics and all that other stuff, who had never really seen Black Panther, they weren't really fucking with Black Panther at first. And then they saw the movie, because he was only like, we didn't have like the full-fledged Black Panther film yet. We had him kind of teased, we saw him, this, that, and the third, but like we didn't get to see him and see Wakanda and see all these things. And people don't like, it's like, you can't have the MCU without Black Panther or without Kang. They both, me and Outlaw talked about this. Kang plays a major role in the Secret Wars. There's comics that prove that. Kang and Doctor Doom themselves play a major role in the Secret Wars. Like, there's a lot of shit. That's why it's called the Secret Wars. There's so many layers to the Secret Wars is not even one film. It really can be 4. If you really dive into the story. Yeah, it can really be 4 really good 2-hour films. Like, because there are so many layers. Like, I am genuinely curious how they're going to do this Secret Wars film, because the fact that they didn't say Secret Wars Part 1 throws me off. Because it makes me feel like they're going to rush the film and they're going to leave a lot of shit out. And in the Secret Wars, you can't. You have to be very detailed. You got to make sure we have, we got to have Nick Fury. We got to have Wolverine. Like, there's so many characters that you have to have in this. Like, the Secret Wars is a massive amount of characters all together.
I feel like it could be done if in Doomsday they set up for Secret Wars, and then in Secret Wars you kind of get like a cut down version of the story. You don't need to do all the little odds and ends, but the basic story of Secret Wars is like all the heroes are thrown onto this place called Battle World. Yeah, where like all the villains run society or what have you, something along those lines. And
yeah,
you could do that in 1 3-hour movie, but it'd be better to do it in 2 movies instead of just 1.
Because you're gonna spend a lot of time developing the story as a whole. Unless you tell me in the first 45 minutes of this movie, you're going to essentially take all the major heroes and send their ass over, and we're going to have 2 hours and 15 minutes of just Secret Wars, the battles going on. Like, that's a lot of screen time to see this, that, and the third, because there's a lot of stories that still not necessarily need to be told, but we need to, people who, the non-casuals need to understand the story, because they're going to watch the film and not really know what they're watching. Because there's so many, like I said, because there's so many layers to this story. So I think at least 2 films, it would have been fine. You really could do 4, but at least 2.
It depends on what Doomsday is really about, because it could low-key set up for Secret Wars.
And that's where, I'm not gonna write either of these films off. I'm gonna trust the Russo brothers, because the Russo brothers have done well for us.
They could.
A lot of people didn't like Civil War, and I was like, y'all lost y'all mind. Civil War was a great fucking movie. And even if I'm by myself, and I loved Civil War, like,
you're not by yourself, but
the fact that you had a movie. Better. Okay, hey, Winter Soldier was a damn good film too, but the fact that in a movie like Civil War you had heroes fighting heroes, like, it's like literally for the sake of family. That's like if myself and Outlaw took our siblings, cut them in half, and said, "Fuck it, we're gonna fight." Like, which one of us gonna get one of the twins versus the other? Like, there's like all, like, that's how wild to me Civil War was, like that, because it was good. But Winter Soldier was Civil War, because they really made Bucky look like a thug. Like Bucky looked like unstoppable. Like, when that man slapped the shield down, you was like, all right, yeah, y'all ain't fucking with Bucky. Like Bucky, the Winter Soldier looked like when the Punisher movie came out, the first Punisher movie. Like, you just like, all right, I ain't fucking with this dude. Like, this dude, like, another movie they need to bring him back. The Punisher show. I love the show. No, the show was great. I just want to see him I want to see him now on the big screen, because we got the Punisher movie so long ago. Because low key, you could use the Punisher in Secret Wars too, because there's like a small piece where the Punisher makes there's some levels to that.
Have you seen Deadpool and Wolverine yet?
No, I'm seeing it this weekend.
I'm not gonna say nothing else then.
Okay. I really wish I was on.
Sherrod, we
Okay.
didn't. It's fine, bro. It's fine.
Yeah. I listen. You good, brother. Don't even worry about it. Let's see here. Moose said, let's see. That happens in the comics, and that wasn't really, yeah. And that's why if they would have left, if they wouldn't have, they kind of almost oversaturated us with Kang. If they would have left it like it was, like really and truly, you almost could have left it at Loki, and we'd have been straight, because the way they depicted him and his variants in Loki was great in both seasons, because he played a huge role in season 2 of Loki as well, being in that conference room with all the Kang phases. Like, that shit was dope. Like, if you would have done that and like basically made that into a massive teaser for us, we'd have been good. But and
I
I was
agree with your opinion, because Thanos didn't have a whole lot of setup. Thanos showed up in like 2 end credit scenes and 1 scene in Guardians of the Galaxy, and that was it. Then he gets basically
boom,
all of the whole movie to himself.
Yeah, like, and you know, and it's just like when we watched Avengers: Age of Ultron, right? Like, we got like, because Ultron kind of got Darth Maul treatment, like, because
Ultron deserved better. That's a whole other topic.
That's why I said, see, I say he got Darth Maul treatment, because Ultron definitely was a lot better than what the movie, like the movie still, he looked powerful, he looked great, but
Ultron could have carried a whole phase by himself.
Oh God, and then some.
Because he's basically like the main Avengers villain besides Thanos.
Yeah, like you could have tied Ultron into Thanos easily. Just like, it's no different than, since we kind of keep going back and forth on this Marvel DC thing, it's no different than when we've had Brainiac and Darkseid at the same time. Like, it's not like we've never seen this shit before. It's not unheard of. You know, like, of course, and in the Marvel world, we're still waiting on Galactus to finally show his fucking face. And then when do we fucking see him? The Fantastic Four fucking film of all possible films. I'm like, okay. But what that tells us, though, and this is what I do like about what they're doing with the Fantastic Four, the fact that we see that little teaser of Galactus tells me that we're going to get the Silver Surfer again, because you have to. Those two go hand in hand. You kind of can't do one without the other. So we're going to see the Silver Surfer again. The question now becomes, who plays the Silver Surfer?
Supposedly, from the rumors I've heard about the Silver Surfer, is that it's going to be a female version. It's going to be his wife instead of him.
Interesting. I can't say
there is a female Silver Surfer in the comics, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
I don't know why they couldn't just go with the regular Silver Surfer, but you know, I'll wait till we watch it.
A true Marvel fan crack baby. They set up Thanos for 10 years.
Sherrod ain't lying.
Yeah, no, listen, I was doing dad things. That's why I wasn't able to, see it the way I need to see it.
No, man, you had to plan your daughter's birthday, bro.
And you know what? My daughter's birthday went very well. Like, it was fun. The kids enjoyed it. So I can't complain. My daughter was happy. She got twice as many presents, because she had opened up her presents from her actual birthday, and then she got all them gifts for, her actual birthday. And I got to send a special shout out to my little sister, Brianna. The cake was amazing. I love the mermaid cake. You did your damn thing with that cake. Your custom cakes are there. You need to open up your own bakery shop. Like, I'm telling you, like, those cakes, they look sensational, and I couldn't have, it couldn't have come out any better. So if you guys are on social media, man, I highly recommend y'all follow Cute Cakes, man. She does not just cakes for kids, man. If you got pets and you love celebrating your pets, she do the dog treats. She do all those things, man. But the artwork is amazing, and I was a big fan of that cake. I had never seen. And shout out to Mama Blanca as well, because she made the Calissa and the 3, like the little wood, because she has her own little thing, which is also a wooden jar. So saying, y'all follow that on social media as well for all of your custom wood style things. You want little wood welcome signs for your front yard or for your front of your house, all that type of stuff. She makes all that stuff. Like, that's my other family. I love them very much, and I appreciate everything that they did for Calissa's 3rd birthday. It was great. So, and we got some more stuff coming very soon. We got some collaborations. So, me and Outlaw were kind of networking while the party was going on, getting some other stuff. So don't worry, China. I know you're listening. All right. We told you what we said last week about the merch. Don't you worry. Got you covered. All right. Let's see. As somebody that has a Deadpool and Wolverine and Black Panther tattoo, I just want. Hey, exactly. We true to this, not new to this. Say. Look, we like we said. So, so now that we got all of that rocking and rolling, are you you feeling relatively unhinged, my brother? You feeling good there?
Man, we could talk about some things. The topic I want to be unhinged about. I feel like I wanted to have a whole episode about it, but me and you can have a good discussion about it, bro.
All right. Well, let me cue this up and then let's talk that shit.
Oh man, it's been a long time since we've seen and heard that.
Yeah, man.
It's been about a month, I want to say at least.
Feels like it, man.
Yeah. But no, what I wanted to get unhinged about is nothing necessarily like stupid, I would say, but just ignorant. And today I want to talk about finances, man.
All right. That's just mood. That's mood getting hyped.
That's
So
mood,
we talking
yeah.
finances. Let's talk money.
Yeah, I've noticed a lot of bad financial habits in adults our age and younger and older, and it grinds my gears, man, because I done fucked up my finances before in the past, just
Man.
dumb, ignorant mistakes, not knowing any better. But I feel like we need to have a real conversation with the people who are listening about how to have better financial practices. And I feel like just knowing what I know about you, you can put people on game because you put me on game plenty of times about how to be better with my spending and my investing and my saving.
100%. So listen, man. It starts like this. First and foremost, because I'm 34, I'll be 35 next month, and I've gone through just like every other male. I'm gonna speak about this from the male perspective. I'm not a female. Neither is Outlaw. Neither one of us associate or identify as a female. So we're gonna talk about this from simply the male perspective. So understand what we're going here. So in our 20s, we tend to do outlandish, wild, and exotic things. Typically, we go out with the fellas. One guy will come out with his credit card and he'll pay for the whole night. Y'all do bottle service. You do all the shit. And then you realize on Monday, you're like, damn, I just spent a whole bunch of money on my credit card that I really didn't have, but I was trying to flex.
Yeah, and that's one of the prime examples I was kind of pissed off about because I've done many, many of those instances, and I've kind of realized now, if you go out and you got to put something on credit, you tell me that you actually could not afford to go out. And I'm telling you that $100 that you spent on your credit card is really more like 125 because once you think about your interest rate, which is going to be probably about 25 to 28%, you're going to think, oh man, I could just pay that off. I'm going to pay it off at the end of the month. No, you're not. I know you people. Y'all going to push that shit to the side, and next week you're going to put that shit right back on credit. And next thing you know, you don't spend $500 in a month on bullshit.
Now, on the flip side of that, because I am one of those guys who, because I still have actually both of these same credit cards. Actually, I've had two of my Capital One credit cards for over 10 years. And I used one of my Capital One credit cards for going out. It's like what I used it for, not in the manner of where I'm gonna buy a section, I'm gonna buy bottles, I'm gonna do all that type of shit. Absolutely not. But I got into this habit when I was making a certain amount of money to where I was like, all right, bet if I'm gonna go out, like if I go to Bar Louie or I go out to dinner by myself or I go out with a couple of the fellas, I got this credit card that I'm gonna use just to do it because I did it personally because I wanted to challenge myself to see if I was as responsible as I thought I was. Because earlier in my life, when I got out of high school and I got caught up in the bullshit, went to college. Oh, here's this student credit card with $3,000 on it, and my dumbass was swiping that shit on dumb shit. I had no business. Yeah. And then, I bought my first house and then I got credit card number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. And then you're like, yeah, I got all these credit cards, man. Yeah, I got $25,000 worth of credit. Yeah, but do you have $25,000 in your actual bank account?
Exactly. So, a lot of people be thinking that credit card is their money. It's not.
It goes back to living outside of your means. So Why did I have a credit card that I used when I went out and about? Because it was a card with a $1,200 limit on it, which is a good number. $1,200 is not a bad number, because even if you max that card out, $1,200 is not an insurmountable amount of money to overcome. It's not. It's really not. Now, my other Capital One card, whole other ballgame. That's got a nice little limit on it. But this particular card, because it started off as a credit builder card. It was called the Journey card. And then I've had Capital One so long that both of my Capital One cards are not the same cards that I had when I started. They keep upgrading. Now I've got a Quicksilver and a Venture card. One started off as the Journey card, which is a credit builder card, and the other one started off as just a regular Capital One, whatever it was, like some I don't even remember what color it was, but that's how long I've been with Capital One. So I always used it because what I was doing was when I was out, I did this when I was a little bit older. So I was teaching my younger people that I was out with in my other profession. Hey, listen, it's okay when you go out to utilize your credit card, because sometimes when you're single, you want to do things a certain type of way and you need a little extra fluff. I'm just gonna call it what it is. It's a little extra fluff. It's a play in the playbook, but it's a calculated play. You can't use this every time you go out, but it's a calculated play, but you got to use it responsibly. So, prime example of how I used it responsibly one time. So GQ story time. So there was a time when I was out. This was during the pandemic. This is before I got married and had kids. This is in that interesting little window of my life where I was not in a relationship. So I was out at one of my favorite places. I was out at Bar Louie. Love Bar Louie. It's one of my favorite places to go. Like, just to go eat dinner by myself. I just love the environment. I love everything about it. So I'm out with these fellas, and I'm teaching them about, when you go out, why you have a credit card, but make sure if you're going to use that credit card, and I'm specifically still talking about the $1,200 limit, make sure that your actual paycheck matches. Nobody else needs to know how much money's on that credit card. They just know that you're going to use it. So we go out, we're having a good time. We're sitting there and we're sitting at this perfect table. And I just so happen to see a table full of nice women. And I'm like, damn, they all look kind of good. So, all right, cool. So I noticed who their server was. And I was like, hey, come here, Doc. I said, do me a favor. I need you to find out what they're drinking, because they were all drinking like shots and stuff. I was like, find out what they're drinking. And then said, buy them around, say it's on me. So bought them around the shots, and so happened to be the birthday girl. So I was like, oh, cool. So, bought them around the shots. Everything was good. Then we ended up, from there, their table and our table ended up mixing. So now we got one big ass section all of a sudden inside of Bar Louie, which was a pregame spot, because we hadn't even gone out yet. This was the pregame spot. So we ended up going out with that group of girls for the rest of the night, went to the country bar, did all the things that we normally do on a night out with me, and ended up being a great night. But I was teaching a lesson about being responsible with their credit card. I paid that card off the next day because I'd already been paid, but I didn't want to use my money from a paycheck yet. So I was like, I'll put it on the card and then I'll pay the card off and whatever. It sounds dumb, but I was doing it as a responsibility test on myself, because I know how reckless I was in my early 20s with credit cards. Yes. Okay, then go.
Oh, the joys of fatherhood.
Yes, the joys of fatherhood.
But no, what your story?
He said, don't need to check the price, because all I do, look, Sherrod, I don't even want to know what your credit cards look like if that's what you out here doing. And then look, Moo over here quoting songs over here talking about just throw it in the bag. Look, that's how we end up in debt, Bob. That's how we end up in debt.
Exactly. And that's why I'm trying to put people on game today, because believe me, I done just went to the mall and put shit on credit thinking I was going to pay it off at the end of the month, and I don't. And I carry that balance over to the next month and the next month and the next month. And that shit gets out of control when you see how much you actually paying in interest. Because your monthly payment is going towards interest. It's not going to your actual balance.
No, and that's why you have to be mindful. And that's why if you read if you talk any of these financial people that you talk to and you deal with, they always say make sure you don't use more than 20% of the actual credit that you're being allotted. Because as long as you keep it under 20%, you keep that interest under control. Anything over that 20%, that interest going to get you. And then that same little $80, $100,
minimum
$150 payment you got to make is going to be on top of an interest payment that's going to hit at the end of the month on top of that. So now that payment just got bigger. So you got to be smart about this.
Man, if you make the minimum payment on a $5,000 balance, it'll take you about 7 years to pay that shit off. That's if you stop using that motherfucker.
And that's depending on Hopefully you didn't max that card out, but but people do it. But
I've
at the
done it
same
before.
time, I've even in my advanced age now, I had a couple of credit cards that I got kind of outlandish with from a previous relationship, and into my marriage now. So I took all of those, and so I got all those. I rolled those into a debt consolidation loan. So that's how I took care of that. And all is good in the world. Like it sounds like it's bad, but instead of me trying to do exactly what you said, pay this payment and be paying it for all these years, by me doing it all, taking these and rolling them into a debt consolidation program, I'm paying into this program. And once I hit to a certain number, they're negotiating, and that same payment that I would have had has been dropped significantly. So I'm actually graduating, if you will, from this program a lot earlier than I would have had I been doing it the way I was doing it prior to enrolling into this program.
Exactly. And I want to say there's no shame in getting into a fucked up financial state. I feel like every adult is going to do it at least probably twice. I would say hopefully only once, but realistically, you probably gonna fuck your shit up at least 2 or 3 times. It
Yeah.
happens like that.
And the
Sometimes it be
question,
to your own fault. Sometimes it's the fault of others. It just should
and
be
and the
happening.
question becomes, can you get yourself out? Like,
You absolutely
hopefully,
can.
yeah, you just have to hope and pray that you don't get yourself in a situation that is so dire that no matter what you got, you just can't, like, you basically just somebody pushing your head under the water while you trying to get air. Like, that's how some people really be getting into some serious debt. On a serious note, though, don't go broke trying to impress people. And that's true. Don't go broke trying to impress people. That's why I said there's levels of this. You got to be smart about this.
Yeah.
So,
No, absolutely. And I'll tell you straight like this. I was on Tinder when Tinder was in its prime for about 3 years.
hey man,
And
Tinder
prime
Prime,
Tinder.
when the app turned gold. Oh yeah, that was the
Yeah.
move.
And I'm not gonna lie, I spent a lot of money on first and second dates. And in hindsight, I don't got nothing to show for it. Like I had a lot of great times with a lot of great women, but they're not here anymore, and my money gone.
Yeah,
So
I can't say I spent like an absurd amount of money. Not on second dates. I went on some good outings.
but you just gotta think about and kind of quantify how many dates
Yeah,
you've gone on and how much money you spent on each date. And in
yeah,
reality, yeah, you had a good experience, but that woman is no longer in your life
yeah,
besides your wife, and
yeah.
you just kind of got to be more intentional about your money,
Yeah.
fellas.
And you know what's wild about that? When you say that, and you said, think about how many dates you've been on. I have not been on a lot of dates in my entire life.
Hmm.
I can honestly say I have been on less than 20 dates. Like I'm not I because and I say that because in all of my situationships, entanglements, whatever words you want to use, I've typically met these women while I'm been out already by myself most times. So it's like we never really had that official, oh hey, do you want to go out and do this? Like any of my dates, if you will, I've been in relationships with that person already, but I've never had like I haven't had a lot of first dates.
Hmm.
Like, and I had to think, I was like, wait a minute,
I
I
never knew
haven't
that
had a
about you.
I've because I haven't had a lot of actual first dates.
Well, I mean, honestly, the majority of your adult life, you've been in a relationship, and not a whole lot of gaps in
Yeah,
between.
this is true. That's probably why my happy ass ended up in therapy too. But that's neither here nor there. But
Well, that's what we talked about in the last episode, man.
yeah,
You got to take time for yourself after each and every relationship. I
but
feel
like
like
yeah,
some people just desire that companionship so much, and it's like you don't broke up with somebody a month ago and you're already holding
yeah,
hands with the next. If you don't
yeah.
sit your ass down somewhere and be lonely for a while,
I mean, but there was no lie detector when he said that though. Like, I mean, but it's the truth though. But the main premise of the conversation here that Outlaw is putting out there, man, is just fellas, because we're gonna continue speaking to the fellas. Be smart with your money, dog. Like, the best thing you can do is budget accordingly. Like, budgeting is a lost art. And when I say that, I mean you literally need to learn how to put money aside, because we're not millionaires. I'm not speaking to those who are well off, those who making that phenomenal bread. Like, I'm talking about your regular, everyday, middle class type of dude. You need to budget.
I'm gonna tell you what I did for a long time, and it did help me. I need to get back on it, but you need to take your expenses, your monthly expenses, and put an envelope. You're gonna have 3 envelopes. You're gonna have an envelope for your gas, your groceries, and your fund money. Once all of your bills is paid for, take the rest of your money and actually get like dollar fucking bills and allocate money for your groceries, your gas, and your fund money. And once you're done with that envelope, that's it for the whole fucking month. Once you run out of fund money and it's only the 5th of the fucking month, that's it. You're not going out. I'm sorry.
Look, yeah, and look, China, that's what we was talking about. Like we was all reckless in our 20s. We just were. We didn't know shit. So we was out there doing wild shit, and then we paid for it, and then we kind of figured it out, and then we had to learn.
Did not tell us about financial responsibility, bro.
We had to learn the hard way
because they learned the hard way too, and then they didn't tell us these lessons.
But what I will tell you, of all the credit financial mistakes that can be made, I stayed away from the most critical one. I never got a credit card with a place I like to shop. Never got an Academy card, never got a Best Buy card, never no shit like that. Those terrify me.
I had an Express credit card one time.
See, I couldn't do it. Like, oh my God, I couldn't do it because you're going to want to spend it.
And that's how they get you.
Yeah, like I grew up, I worked for Academy. I love Academy. If I'd had a fucking Academy fucking credit card, I'd have maxed that bitch out. Buying guns.
I will say something we didn't touch on with credit cards though. Some credit cards give you some really great bonuses and points. Like if you got my
Capital One Venture card where I get points for airline miles.
Yeah, Chase, they give you airline miles and such. You know, if you know how to use your credit card responsibly to get those perks, if you'll call them that, like a Disney credit card.
Yeah.
You know, like if you could be responsible, definitely utilize it, swipe it and pay it off at the end of the month.
Yeah, like because so for me, like, and here's one of the uses big time uses I have credit cards for. When I travel overseas, I use a credit card. I don't use my debit card. I use a credit card overseas because granted, Chase is extremely phenomenal at protecting your card while you're overseas. They actually do the currency conversion inside of your transactions. Like Chase does. I've had Chase for a long time. I didn't even know they did this until I was in Africa. And they literally do the conversions within your spending. Like it'll say you spent, $40, which is actually this amount in like Djiboutian francs. And I was like, yo, fuck, I didn't know Chase did. This is actually dope. So I was like, that's dope. But I was like, nah, let's just use a credit card overseas because fuck all that. But China, I had no idea that you homeschooled your children or your son. I'm sorry. Given
the current state of public education.
We just keep learning more and more about China as we do these episodes. So first of all, kudos to you, mama, because that's got to be tough. Like, living life, going to work, doing all the things. And then on top of that, you also homeschooling a child because listen, I damn sure wouldn't be homeschooling my daughter because I can't keep her ass home every day.
No.
It's like my man used to say on American Idol, listen, no for me, dog. Like,
I feel like, man, really though, when it comes to like finance.
No, Sherrod, I was not just voting. I read most of it. I missed that part somehow, some way, but I did read the description because I know what you're talking about. You're trying to talk shit. When we was voting for China for being like the top bomb and all that stuff, like, no, I just somehow overlooked that part somehow, some way.
I didn't catch it either, so I don't feel
it's okay.
bad.
So
you're not on the island by yourself.
Yeah. So Sherrod, eat a dick. All right. But all right, hey, nah, you welcome. Nah. So
I was also going to say about finances. I didn't want to cut you off, bro, but
no, you good, brother. Do you think?
We also got to talk about people's jobs. I don't want to shame nobody's job or their career.
Oh no, I do. No. Talk your shit because I know where you're going.
Fuck it. Let's go ahead. I'm about to fucking say it. If you were stuck in a dead end ass job where they're not giving you a cost of living wage, they're not giving you promotions or raises that raise your standard of living, you need to get the fuck out of there.
Facts.
Because let me tell you, if your job is only giving you a 3% raise every year, you just breaking even because inflation done wiped out your gains from your raise. If inflation was 3% and you got a 3% raise, you didn't actually make any more money.
Yeah.
If you didn't get a raise for a whole year and inflation went up 5%, your job is paying you 5% less because your dollars is worth 5% less. So stay on top of your fucking managers. Make sure
Yep.
that you're getting paid what you need to get paid, because if you just steady falling behind the rate of inflation, you low key making less money year over year.
And let me translate that for those who don't understand anything that Outlaw said, because he's very eloquent speaker, and I love that about him very much. So
Oh, thank you,
basically,
bro.
what he's saying in a nutshell is if you get paid and you are basically living paycheck to paycheck, your ass need to leave that job, because there's no way that if I get paid every 2 weeks, that 95% of my check is going to bills. So make sure you keep up what I said, okay? Because we know you're gonna have normal people expenses, gas, groceries, that type of shit. We know that. But after I pay my bills, fill up my gas tank, every couple months, get my oil changed, the usual. I should not be waiting another 6-7 days for the next check to hit to actually have money to do shit. That's a problem.
Yeah, if you over there eating boiled water for dinner and a cup of sugar water for dessert, you not. I'm trying to tell you, look,
Yeah.
if you
And-
get nervous 6 days away from your paycheck, like, you need to make a change. Part of that could be you need another job. Part of it could be you got bad
Yeah.
spending habits, but
Like,
don't stay in a dead end ass
yeah.
job.
And it bothers me when people say, "Oh, I don't make enough money to save." No, you're wrong. You make enough money to save. You're choosing other habits, other wants versus needs. That's why you can't save. Because even my mother, who was raising 3 of us, working multiple jobs, was able to save. Why did she do that? So that when Thanksgiving rolled around, we had a big ass fucking meal. And then when Christmas rolled around, that's why we always had a full fucking gifts underneath the trees. So you make time for the things you truly want. Guess what? You save money for the things that you truly want. That's why back in the day, it was a big deal for black families to go on vacation in the summertime. Why? Because your mama and your daddy was saving the whole fucking year until June or July when the family went on that one fucking trip. They was saving money because you have to prioritize what's important to you. It's nothing to sit down, just like Outlaw said. You need to sit down, first of all, look at your fucking pay stub, look at your direct deposit, whatever it is. You need to figure out, all right, this is how much money I'm making. This is when my bills are coming out. Okay, I need to figure out, this is why I love auto pay so much now, because for me personally, I get paid on the 1st and 15th. I know exactly when I'm getting paid. I know all these things. I know what's coming out when on what auto pay times. I got that shit memorized. Like, literally, I can tell you which days of the month all my shit comes out. So I always have extra money, even when I get paid tomorrow on the 1st and I pay the mortgage, which is a significant bill in this house. I still have a significant amount of money in my bank account after I pay the mortgage. Make it make sense. I don't get broke between the 1st and the 15th. There's always money in my bank account between the 1st and the 15th, and then the 15th to the 1st. Like, that shit don't change. If my bank account has zero, I have done something reckless, and that's not a good look.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to be smart about that. And I'm saying that because I am someone who owns a home. If I was somebody in an apartment, I would have even more money with the amount of money that I currently make. I am in a house, and I have a house full of women who love Amazon and Shein and Scentbird and all the things that women love. And I still have money in my bank account. So I don't want to hear this, you can't do X, Y, and Z, because I just took my family on a vacation that I had been saving for. And I budgeted that shit out from January until a couple weeks ago. And we were just fine. We went with damn near $1,100 worth of spending money. I didn't have to work hard to put that money away. I knew what we were going to do in Orlando. So I planned ahead. I was like, yeah, we're going to probably do X, Y, and Z. And I knew this.
I'll tell you how you can save for that very easily, y'all. When you get your check, take $50 out your check and put it to the side. We get paid 26 times in a year, 24, 26, depends on your job, but that'll be $2,400 or $2,600 at the end of the year. That just putting $50 aside every paycheck.
Yeah,
$2,600 is a good chunk of change. That could be a rainy day fund or a vacation fund.
And so you're right. And then here's the other side of the equation that we hadn't really touched on, and it's an hourly employee versus a salary employee. If you're a salary employee, it should be easier for you to save because you know exactly how much fucking money you're getting. because
My
you
math was
can't
wrong
get
on
over
that, bro. It was
because
1,200. I'm
you
trying to.
can't. Yeah, but because as a salary employee, you know you're not getting overtime. You know this already. You know it. It's programmed in your fucking head. You're not getting overtime. So you know what your check looks like I do. I am a salary employee. So on the 1st and 15th, I know exactly what my checks look like because the number doesn't fucking change. So it's even easier for somebody like me to say it because I know now, obviously, every now and again, I get like a little incentive bonus and I'm like, oh, cool, I got an early Christmas present. But for the most part, my check don't change except unless I get promoted or, I hit a certain milestone and like my pay scale shifts. That's it. That's how it works in the salary world. Your pay scale just shifts based on whether it's time with the company, a raise, things of that sort. But if you're an hourly employee, your check probably looks like a fucking roller coaster because if you don't get overtime, you probably feel like you really ain't making no bread. In this inflation that we're currently in, you kind of have to get overtime to make it by. You need that time and a half to make that extra bread so that you can do what you got to do. Because if you're doing like Outlaw said, and you're working a dead end ass job, like let's just say you're working at like McDonald's or some shit, even if you were making $13 an hour, that ain't shit in this
I'm
current
gonna,
economy.
I'm gonna say this about overtime pay because I used to be hourly. I'll tell you this: do not base your living standard on your overtime pay because you
That
might
part.
not always get overtime. Balance your fucking lifestyle around your regular 80-hour check and your overtime money. Put that shit away. You don't have that money. That shit is stored away somewhere where you can't fucking reach it because that's
Because you
not
was you was already living without that money.
exactly. That is an exceptional paycheck when you get overtime. So take that exceptional money and act like you ain't got it because you really don't because it might not always be there.
Yeah. And you also should adapt the I'm broke mindset. That's what I do. I adapt the I'm broke mindset. Like I always feel like I'm broke. Why do I feel that way? Because in my mind I am broke. Because if I wasn't broke, I would be making six figures comfortably. But I don't. So I'm broke. So I always feel like I'm broke, even though I'm not broke, but I feel like I'm broke because that means I'm not doing what our mothers told us when we were young, which is I got this money and it's burning a fucking hole in my pocket. Like, I understand in my kingdom, I have certain things I must take care of. I don't buy a lot of shit for myself. Excuse me. Like, I
Lush.
really don't. Like, anybody who's been around me, like, the shit that I spend money on is like workout clothes. Every now and again, I buy some workout shoes, but my workout shoes last me like 3-4 years. Like, I don't really, I don't really, I rotate shoes, but it take a while. Like, I bought my last pair of boots for my other job back during COVID. It's 2024. So last time I bought a pair of fucking boots. So like I don't buy a lot of shit I do buy dumb shit. Like yeah, I buy my Celsius because I like my caffeine. Like I buy my K cups for my coffee. Even though I'm a weekend coffee drinker, but I don't spend a lot of money on outlandishness because I think about what can I get for the house that I need. Like when I bought my generator shortly after fucking Hurricane Barrel. But guess what? I didn't buy the fucking generator outright because I said fuck it. It costs this much. I can do this payment plan and I can pay it off in 4 months. Why did I do that? Because I didn't want to spend that amount of money in one sitting because I'm a salary guy. And I
And you
didn't want
never
to
know
be
if you're
like
gonna need that money 4 months later.
100%. So I said, let's break that payment into four. I think I did four. Yeah, I did four payments. Broke it into four. And I'm like, cool, I can make this work. I can stretch this out. That shit makes way more sense because payment plans aren't bad if you got your funds together. Now, yes, it is 100% great to pay everything off and not have to worry about a monthly payment. But when you are operating in the scope that like myself and Outlaw and others who have families and things of that sort, like you can't just be out there. You can't make massive purchases like that. I can't just wake up tomorrow and go buy and put a down payment on a car. No, I cannot do that because my money must be elsewhere. It needs to be here, 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 here. So I can't just be like, oh, I'm gonna go drop $3,000 on a down payment for a car.
Somebody
No,
told me a long time ago, and it still kind of makes sense to me. Never spend more money in a day than you actually make in a day. If
I've
you
heard
make
that.
if you make $200 a day at your job, you should not be spending more than $200 in a fucking day because you just erase the gains that you made in that day.
I've
Now,
heard that.
obviously, your rent is going to be more than what you made in a day and such. But I'm just saying, as a general purpose,
Yeah,
on Saturday, don't spend more than what you make in a fucking day going out.
true. But at the same time, when you deal with a rent or a mortgage, you're paying that one time a month. Like that's a one-time expense
Yeah,
because but that's also across
that's
a 30-day. It's a 30-day payment.
Yeah, that's kind of the exception to the
So
rule, you know.
so
Yeah.
for that particular one, you would take what you make times 30 and see what that number looks like, and hopefully it's less than that than your fucking rent and your mortgage. Hopefully, my mortgage is rough, but we get through.
Yeah. I'll
But
also say this, something that people don't think about. And I got it from Everybody Hates Chris. Because the dad from Everybody Hates Chris is on to something, man. Y'all got to think about how much fucking food y'all be throwing away.
he's
Like,
brilliant.
yeah, like I know everybody trying to buy more groceries because eating out is expensive. But just because you cooked at home doesn't mean you save money, because if you end up throwing away half your fucking groceries because you wasted food, you really lost money. Like if you spent $100 at the grocery store and threw away $20 worth of vegetables and fruits that you didn't eat, you really did waste some fucking money.
Yeah, and my family as a whole, to include myself, we were guilty of that for a while. Like most of us, we wasn't doing the leftovers, like how we grew up when we
Yeah.
was eating leftovers. Like if mom made spaghetti, you was eating that shit for like 3 days because she made a
In
big
my
ass pot
honest
of that shit.
opinion, bro, you should not cook another motherfucking meal until you eat your leftovers. Until that fucking leftover pot is empty, you shouldn't be cooking nothing else.
Yeah. So and even so, and like I know even for me most recently for shit sure, I've made like a concerted effort. Like it ain't nothing. Like I cook smaller portions as best I can, but two, like I 100%. I've been taking my leftovers to work. Or like or if like my wife made something before she went to work and we ate all that. I'm like, oh shit, what am I gonna eat for lunch tomorrow? And I pulled out me and your favorite thing here, and I pulled the air fryer out, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna make something in the air fryer, put it in a container, and take it to work tomorrow. But it's
Yeah,
it's doing those little things that make big changes when you need them most.
absolutely. I'll
So
say this about
you
cooking
got
dinner, man. You ain't got to make a full course meal. Make you a main dish and a side dish. Make you some chicken, mashed potatoes. That's simple.
yeah,
You ain't got to throw away shit else.
yeah, like it was 2 days ago. Like my wife had made some. She made like chicken. She made chicken and asparagus, and she was like, I feel like I'm missing something. Do we need something? I was like, nah, we good with this chicken and asparagus. Why we got to make something else? Like we good. Like
Yeah, having
she,
multiple sides, say that shit for a special occasion. Like normally throughout the week,
like
bro.
I could see if we had a house with like 5 kids or like 5 people living here, but it's only three of us. Really, three and a quarter of us living here.
Yeah,
Because toddler stomach only like this damn big. So she eat
and they
like
not
three
gonna eat
bites
that
and
shit
she full.
anyways most of the time.
Man, we ain't gonna talk about it. That's when y'all seen her coming at me earlier. You're like, Nanny, I'm hungry. I'm not. No, you're not. I made her a whole ass pizza earlier. I ate half of that shit. So, and I wasn't even hungry no more. But I just didn't. I really didn't want to waste that food. So I ate half the damn pizza.
I can relate to that, bro, because as a father, bro, you'll make your kids something and they won't eat it. And it's like, well, I spent money on this, so I'm gonna have to eat it because, like, I don't want.
Yeah, like
You don't ate for the whole day already. You still got to go over here and eat your kids' food because
yeah,
you
like
don't want to throw it away.
the only thing I won't eat that she'll eat a lot is her Happy Meal. 'Cause I don't eat McDonald's,
Oh God,
and I can't do it. Like I stopped eating McDonald's probably in 2014. And that's the dollar menu days, what I'm saying? Like, we did the damn thing, but like, man,
nowadays, no
when I went to college and started studying like, fitness and shit, and I
nutrition.
started realizing like, bro, when I stopped eating McDonald's, I had like 5 times the amount of energy. Because when I went to listen, ladies and gentlemen, don't let this frame fool you, okay? I was that guy that could go spend $10 on the motherfucking dollar menu. Like I was going to get 2 double cheeseburgers, a hot and spicy. Like I was getting my fries. Like I was loading that shit up. I didn't realize how much I was consuming and how much my stomach acid couldn't handle all that shit. But I sure was, trying to eat all that shit. And no, there are much better things in this world you can eat.
You know
So
what? Honestly, speaking of McDonald's, bro, there are
I throw down 3 days straight. Then the next 2 days, free for all. Find your own meal, and then 5 containers. And hey, look, make a meal
hey,
out the leftovers. That's what I'm
hey,
talking
she not
about.
wrong.
She know I gotta have options or I get bored. Hey, listen, you right, but I ain't gonna lie.
I'd rather be bored than be broke.
Hey, listen, my mom's spaghetti is busting, and we used to reheat that bitch and put that Louisiana hot sauce on it. And here's what my mom would do. She'll go to Food Town and buy that box of that Texas made garlic bread, and we'll throw that garlic bread on there for day 2 or day 3, and it's a different meal all of a sudden with that garlic bread.
Hey, you absolutely right, bro. If you get tired of your leftovers, throw some cheese or some hot sauce on it. Suddenly,
Hey,
it's different.
My mom taught me about improvising leftovers. I remember one time we lived in Amarillo. This was like one of my I had never seen like my mom could cook. I ain't know she could be improvised like this, but she had made like chicken and mac and cheese, and she made a big ass pot of mac and cheese. So the next day, she took that mac and cheese and added a can of Rotel to that shit and made a whole ass other meal with that mac and cheese. And then she cut up the chicken and mixed it all together, put it in the oven, and put the breadcrumbs on top of it. Whole other meal. Whole other
Bro,
meal. And I'm
here's
like,
another example.
I would
Take
have
some
never thought
macaroni and
about
cheese,
that.
add some ground beef to it. Hamburger helper.
Hood style.
Trying to push
Like,
y'all on
look, she
game
know,
out
but
here.
hey, listen. But it's the truth though. Like garlic bread really do be
It
the
do, it
garlic
do.
bread. It's look, you can get garlic whether you make your own garlic bread or buy it fresh from the store, man. Garlic bread is just one of those things. Garlic bread and garlic knots. First of all, whoever decided to make garlic knots, I applaud you, ma'am
Those
or
things are
sir.
dangerous, bro, because
Because
you can inhale a whole box in one sitting and
yeah,
not
and
fucking
then they only
realize it.
be like, they be this big. You be like, oh, I can, and then you just start, you're like, bro. And don't give me some fresh hot marinara with it. Man, look, that'll be my whole meal. I'll eat a whole box of garlic bread with that marinara. Look,
Actually, I'm gonna
look,
say this.
look. She's hey
I'm gonna
man,
say something.
hey listen,
No,
my mom be doing it, man.
I'm gonna say something real big back.
Oh,
If you ever go to a place, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. If you ever go to a place that serves you rolls, with your meal, don't be afraid to ask for some fresh rolls to go because they will be free.
hey, listen. I did that at Olive Garden. I always took breadsticks to go because you can get
Yeah,
listen. You take them breadsticks from Olive Garden and you reheat them in the oven, not the microwave, the oven. You get you some spray butter, put a little butter on top, reheat them in the oven, put it on about 250 for about 5-6 minutes. Bussin'. He said big bag, big bag. Now
man.
listen, if you start talking about like deep frying like Oreos and Twinkies and all of them, like, yeah, y'all can have all that.
That's a
I
step
do
too far.
listen, I have cut back significantly on my fried food. I am trying to keep that whole cholesterol thing. We black folk, we got to be careful. Our sodium intake, the cholesterol, we try to cut that back. Just a little bit. The only reason I got a big back is because I'll be in the gym. That's where my big back is from.
I'll
Hey,
say
look,
this for another.
she said it. Them Texas. Hey, listen.
She know.
Listen,
She
and I don't
knows.
make sure if you give me them rolls to go, I need a cup of that butter though too. Don't just give me the roll. I need a cup of that butter on top of that, which you can buy at the store. HEB used to sell the Texas Roadhouse butter in the store.
Kroger have their own private selection brand. It tastes pretty
Yeah, and
decent.
I think it's Country Crock also had a cinnamon butter.
I'll say this for another ghetto life hack. Big Back Association.
Not a platinum membership.
No, for real though, y'all. If y'all ever get tired and you don't want to make dinner, make breakfast instead. Because I've had plenty breakfast for dinner nights.
And you know what? Most of the 90% of the time, there are no leftovers for breakfast.
Yeah.
Like, I ain't gonna even lie to you. Let me tell you about my daughter. Because of me, it's daddy's fault. Okay, it's daddy's fault. I own that. My child does not eat regular eggs.
Gotta be them chorizo eggs.
She only eats chorizo and eggs because of me. Because I don't really eat regular. But listen, if I make eggs, she say this. I didn't realize it how bad it was until last week. Her mom had made some regular eggs, and my daughter was like, "Mommy, those aren't dark enough." I was like, wait a minute. She know what the chorizo and eggs look like. I was like, all right, I did that. I apologize. But I'm sorry. You can't beat chorizo and eggs. You just can't. The only way you can beat it is when you throw some potatoes in it. Like, you just can't beat that. Like, that's just the ultimate move. Like, I don't really fuck with regular eggs because chorizo and eggs is better. Because it just is.
I'm gonna say something controversial that I've done, and I got this from Instagram. Oh,
hey, who that reminds you of? Because that's our sisters.
yeah.
Wait, turn it. Wait. Whoa. Wait a minute.
Hold on now.
I'm gonna need you to drop that. You got that recipe? I'm trying to do something for research purposes. You got that
That's
bread pudding with some Texas Roadhouse rolls.
My big back
Man, with
senses
that-
are tingling.
With that garlic butter.
Or the cinnamon butter.
Yeah, we talking about something on the pod. Somebody gave me an idea. I was like,
Lex being big back over there.
Yes, I said the word rolls in Texas Road. That's her favorite spot. She loved Texas Road. So I said the magic words. And I was like, I need to see this recipe though. Like,
you know, honestly, man, for a restaurant and going out, Texas Roadhouse is not a bad place. It's not a bad date. Ladies, if a man takes you to Texas Roadhouse, you should be honored.
First of all, if a man takes you to Texas Roadhouse, he like you. Because it ain't like Roadhouse is cheap. Because it's really not. Even before inflation.
It's not expensive, though.
It's not expensive, but it ain't cheap. Like, pre-inflation, it still wasn't really cheap necessarily.
But they give you good portion sizes for what you're paying.
True. I give him that. Like, but I do think, for me, Roadhouse is a really good place to bring the fam. It's a really good place to bring the fam. Or it's a really good spot to bring a group. Because if you go with a group and y'all get to drinking, because, you know, you get the tall beers, you get all the crazy shit. And
one
you
of
like,
our dad's birthday was at Texas Roadhouse.
We sure did do. And one of my birthdays. Sherrod done himself. We're going to start calling Sherrod Baby D.
Know all the new Pop-Tart flavors before they come out.
We can think about it. He wilding. He is 100% wilding. But look, she right though. Look, them drinks be busting because that cowboy drink is the move.
I'll tell you who got some underrated drinks. Cheddars.
I was just finna say that. I was
Cheddars
literally
have your ass in the parking lot. I'm gonna get an Uber. That's
why the menu said you only get 2 of them painkillers.
I can see why.
That's a whole episode because I can start talking about a bunch of underrated spots that got some drinks for your ass, and we're going a whole tangent about that. But we had that conversation. We talked about the finances. We at that point of the show though where we got to have the conversation that's been just stewing and boiling. And I didn't want to do it, but then we talked about it in the chat, and I was like, "Fuck it,
let's go.
We're gonna do it." So let's get it in. All right. So if you've been watching TV for the last 96 hours or so, you know that there's been a lot of controversial things going on with the Olympic Games. So that's where this conversation is going to start. So, and the thing about this whole thing is, depending on what direction you want to take this conversation, it can get wild. So I'm going to take you guys on a roller coaster. We're going to do this like a dungeon drop throw. So we're going to go up, and then we're going to sit at the top, and then we're going to drop this bitch. So that's how we're going to do this. So everybody buckle up, get ready for a wild ass ride. And this is how it's going to go. So let's just start with the part that didn't make any sense at all. And you have 2 boxers. I'm going to start here because I don't even know if people caught on to this. There are 2 boxers who are biological males who basically somehow had a certain number of their chromosomes or whatever the case might be from different countries, not from America, but they were allowed to compete in the women's boxing, and the IOC let it go. And I'm like, wait, what? So that shit happened. So then there's that's like strike 1. Strike 2 is worse than strike 1 because strike 2 is the Dutch allowed a men's volleyball player to play after he was convicted and went to jail at 19 for having sex with a 12-year-old, in which he flew from his country in Dutch to the UK to meet up with her because they met via Facebook. So that happened. And you're like, wait a minute. So if that's not, fucked off enough. So he was convicted and he was sentenced to 4 years. He got out in 13 months. And he got out in 13 months because he worked so hard to qualify and be ready for the Olympics. So they wanted him to train and stuff. So the Olympics being the PC type of organization that they're trying to be now created media rules specifically for him. Journalists aren't allowed to question him, interview him, anything of the sort. He's the only athlete that is at the Olympics that cannot be interviewed or questioned or talked to or associated in any way, shape, form, or fashion. And I'm like, okay, that part makes absolutely no sense. Why are we out here protecting people of this sort? All right. Given what the Olympics is supposed to stand for and what it's supposed to mean.
You know what? I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this, man. If he was in like the NFL or NBA for that kind of behavior, he'd got kicked out.
If he would have just been in America, period, he wouldn't have been over there.
Yeah, because dudes done lost their fucking contracts for less.
Yeah. So that wild and exoticness happened, which I still don't understand. Like, the more I read into it, the more it just irritated me. Because then, like, his partner, because, you know, like when they play the sand volleyball, it's 2-on-2. His partner's like, oh, I don't understand all the slander. He's learned his lesson and he's such a kind guy. And I'm like, what the fuck does that even mean? He's kind. Was he kind when his 19-year-old ass went to the UK and fucking found a 12-year-old and was having a whole fucking situation? No, that ain't fucking kind. That's fucking weird. Like,
let's call it what it is. That's rape.
Yeah, it's disgusting. And that's what he was convicted for. But somehow, instead of serving his full sentence of 4 years, he got out in 13 months, which is just, you know, unbeknownst to me. But now we get to the controversy of all controversies, and we get to the opening ceremony, which pissed off the entire Christian culture, if you will. And there are various opinions. There, like, different shows have said this, different podcasts have said that. Like, everybody's kind of all over the place. Like, it looks like a giant shotgun blast. Like, there's so much shit going on in different directions of, like, we're not looking at this through its proper lens. And this is why I say that, because this is why I specifically wanted to talk about this, because I wanted to give everybody a perspective, not an opinion, a perspective that we're not truly thinking about just yet. So let's go backwards first now. So we all know the Olympics happens typically, minus the whole COVID thing that kind of
every 4 years,
but it's every 4 years. These athletes from all these countries, they train and compete for 4 years to qualify to represent their countries at the Olympic Games, which is supposed to signify unity and all these things. It's like unity. It's like, you know, the highest of moral values, because these are literally supposed to be the best of the best athletes in their respective sport, profession, whatever you want, however you want to quantify it, representing their country, their home country, against other countries. Like, so that means not only are you showing off your exceptional athletic ability, everybody at the Olympics is an athlete. I don't care what they're doing. I don't care if you're out there motherfucking curling. Okay, you're an athlete because you're representing your country, doing your thing. But being an athlete is cool, but this is not just about being an athlete, because Olympians are supposed to be role models. Because if you as an athlete can't look, or as a young person, as a kid, right? If you watch the Olympics and you look at these athletes and you're like, man, that's what I want to be one day. If you can't look up to that said person, there's something wrong. Because even without trying, Olympic athletes, they're role models. Because in America, we love our Olympians. We love Michael Phelps. Michael Phelps can't go nowhere without being seen. Simone Biles can't go nowhere without being seen. Simone Biles is so famous that her husband, who's also an NFL player, is irrelevant. Like, let's think about that. Her husband is an NFL player, and the NFL is bigger than the Olympics, monetarily and everything. But her husband is irrelevant. They say Simone Biles' husband. They don't even say his name.
What is his name?
I don't remember.
Yeah, Simone Biles' husband. You proved your point.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, it's like that, right? So then you look at all those things. Of course, we know you've got Sha'Carri out there running. So you've got all these marquee athletes, and then you've got what's going on with the Dutch, and you know, what's going on with these other countries, sending these not so role model style athletes to the Olympic Games. And it's like, so this is how you want to represent your country. You want to send two males who don't necessarily say that they identify as women, but because of some weird loophole-ish type thing, they're allowed to compete against women, knowing that they're still biological males. Like, make it make sense, right?
Honestly, man, my opinion on that, like, it's just not fair for biological males to compete in female sports because men were just naturally stronger than women. So when you have these
They,
dudes, they them or whatever, going into these sports, they're breaking all these records because they're just naturally stronger than women. And it's
I'm
like,
just I'm just gonna say it's not fair either way, no
yeah,
matter how you want to shape it. No, I don't care what it is. Neither should be competing in the other because it's just not fair. No matter how, there's no way to make it level and fair across the board. There just isn't. So we talked about all the above. Now let's get to strike three. Strike three is the actual opening ceremony, and it it bothered me for a different reason, not for the reason that it upset the the Christian community. It upset me because for the Olympics, right? The opening ceremony is one of the most beautiful things. If you've never watched it before, it's one of the most beautiful things you've ever seen because it's a moment in time that the entire world is unified. Each country getting their little 15, 20 seconds of fame, coming out, representing, got their flags up, like, showing off their top athletes, like all this stuff. Like, it is a beautiful spectacle. And we found a way to sexualize an athletic event. And why? Because that particular part that we're talking about, that we're referring to, had absolutely nothing to do with the Olympics. Like, what we saw from that, because, and here's the fucked off part about that whole thing, is that one part was a small part of the entire ceremony, because the opening ceremony is a long ceremony. But this is we've magnified this one part because it took away so much attention from the actual premise of the opening ceremony, which is to highlight the unity of the world, even if it is for a short time period, so that we can prepare and watch these athletes compete at the highest of high levels. And all we've talked about since is that one moment that happened. So now let's talk about why why certain groups are so outraged by it. Because I told you guys in the chat I was going to give you guys a completely different thought process on this, and this is why I'm going to say that. We as a culture of people, right? As humans, as whether it's Americans, Europeans, wherever you're from, we've allowed this to happen. Like, let's not pretend like this is the first time we've ever seen something like this on TV. Granted, we haven't seen this at a sporting event before, not like this, but we've seen what we saw in plenty of other areas across whether it's movies, whether it's going to Vegas and going to shows, whether it's going to downtown Houston and going to brunch and seeing the shows, all this type of stuff like that. There's no problem with what happened. It wasn't the place for it. There was nowhere in the opening ceremony whatsoever. There was nowhere in the Olympics for that particular part. Because what it looked like is it looked like what it would look like if the opening ceremony of the Olympics took place in Vegas. That's what it looked like. Like, let's just be real here. That's what it looked like, because it was almost as if they were making a mockery of the Olympics. Like, I'm not even concerned about the religious aspect because I'm not really overly religious. I'm really not. Like, yes, I am classified as a non-denominational Christian, 100%. But guess what? I'm also open-minded. We live in a world where we are supposed to do what we've been doing, which is being accepting of all groups of people. Inclusion, I believe, is the word we like to use. So I wasn't bothered by that part of it. What I was bothered by was that, one, it had no place in the Olympics. Two, the Olympics as a whole is a family affair. So I was more concerned about the kids that saw that, because the man in blue, or the person in blue, let me not be wrong here, was basically naked. It's like they took Mystique and put it on the screen, but we knew you still couldn't cover up, the man's junk was out. Like, the man's junk was out, and there's kids watching, and there was a kid on the stage, which is also just, wild and outlandish all by itself. So it's like everybody that got like upset and pissed off, I'm like, hold on. What you can't do, right, is you can't be what's called a Christian when it's convenient. You can't do that, Because if you're going to be upset about this, but you're going to choose to, not be upset about other things, like, right? Because like the uproar that was made, cool. But here's the thing: you made a big old uproar about it, but what are you actually going to do about it? Nothing. You're going to talk about it on social media. You're going to talk about it with your friends. Your pastor is probably going to have a whole sermon about it at church on Sunday. But what are you actually going to do about it? Because remember, the world we currently live in, the temperature in the room is inclusion, which means we must include all walks of life, all different groups, all different types of people, all of these things. We must deal with the fact that this is the world that we live in. So we can't be upset by what we see like that and react the way we react, because we've already accepted it. We've already allowed it, because it's not like it's never been done before. Here in Texas, in Houston specifically, we have a whole parade. None of us really care. Like, it's not a big deal to us. Like, we
got a whole gay district.
Yeah, like we don't see it. It's like we don't see it as like oh my God, it's terrible. Like, why are we like, no, it's just we accept it because
it's
the world is
in Houston.
And it's the world is ever changing. So I have no problem accepting it. I really don't. It doesn't bother me one bit. Where it bothers me if it is not for me, it's for like my little one. Like if me and my daughter were just watching the Olympics together and all of a sudden, wow, that popped. I'm like, wait, whoa, time out. That's not, because me and my mom used to.
I feel like your issue is that it wasn't tastefully done.
No, it wasn't, and it wasn't the right platform for it. It wasn't. There was nowhere in the Olympics can you tell me that where that fit, because it doesn't. And even if the people that are saying, oh, it was depicted from the Greek party that they had, and I'm like, well, then why were they not dressed accordingly? Because they weren't dressed like the artwork. I've seen all the different art pictures. They weren't dressed that way. They were just completely different. If you're going to replicate and depict art, you are supposed to dress the part. And last time I checked, and you know this, we grew up in the era where we used to go to toga parties. If you go to a toga party and you're not dressed in a toga, are you not out of place? Exactly. So if I'm going to depict something from Greek mythology, you kind of got to wear what they was wearing at the time.
Honestly, bro, I didn't know what they were trying to do. I didn't know if they were trying to depict, Greek gods. They said the blue god's supposed to be Dionysus. Yeah. I didn't know if they were trying to do like the Last Supper, like I was lost. Like, honestly, French art is really avant-garde.
Listen,
that's right.
It looked like they merged those two concepts into one. That's what it looked like. It looks like they took both and made it into a new art. That's what it looked like. Because if you look at all the different art pictures, there's elements from both on the screen. So it's like, say what you want, you really took inspiration from both, which is what art is. Art is inspiration, no matter where you get it from. Like, just, the fact that the French artist didn't own that and say, oh, I wasn't intending it to be about, I'm like, my guy, you're an artist. It's like a comedian owning their jokes. If they say certain jokes, you own it. It's just like, just own it. But the problem,
accountability.
Yes. And the problem that we have is that, the one part, and I will say there's a huge red flag from this whole ordeal where I understand where the Christian community got pissed off is when the person that was called Barbara Butch said, yay, in a post that was deleted, she said, yay, the new gay testament. Like that part, I 100% can get on board with why the Christian community will be pissed off. 100%. Like you can't, I gotta parse my words here. You can't
feel like it was sacrilegious.
That's a good way of putting it. But yes, and at the same time, you can't take something that was done so long ago and try to change it in a way that it really can't be changed. Because we know it's been interpreted and rewritten multiple times since we found it, but in nowhere is it written like that, because it's not. Like, it's just not. Like, I'm just like, let's just be real. It's not written like that anywhere. There is no book. There's no singular book in there that talks about same sex, anything of that nature. Like there's nowhere in there where it talks about that specifically, and there's an entire story about it. There just isn't. So we can't just be like, let's add a new-ish testament to a book that's been around since before all of us.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That whole thing is weird.
Yeah,
And
it is. And it's like, and so I didn't care for it. I wasn't overly offended by it. I was just bothered by its placement. Being an athlete myself, who
it wasn't the right platform for it.
no,
This was
and
like an
me,
art
yeah,
show, the Met Gala,
yes,
what have you,
like yeah, you
whatever.
could do it at Coachella. I don't give a fuck. But me being an athlete who grew up, I've been watching the Olympics since I was a kid. Like I said, that's the thing. Me and my mom watched the Olympics for the track and field and all this stuff. We watched the Olympics. Never have I seen something like that ever in the Olympics, because there's no place for it. Like, I don't care about the inclusion side of it, because there's no place for that in the Olympics to be considered inclusion.
I mean, the Olympics itself is already inclusive enough. You got everybody from all over the world. You got the Special Olympics. Like,
Thank you.
the Olympics is like the prime place for that kind of. Oh God, big black.
She really did. She said my big back ass was eating wings. Well, I look, if it was good enough, make sure you're licking them fingers. All right, we're good.
Hold on
But
now, but about these wings, what flavor?
what flavor and from where? These are
That
two
part.
very important questions. Because we just went to Pluckers a couple days ago, so I'm just curious where your
Phenomenal,
wings came from.
phenomenal.
Yeah, always. But she's right on her other comment. I didn't get to put that up there. Is hashtag accountability. That is the word for. Hey, listen, Cat Williams got us started in 2024 about all things accountability. We just trying to keep this train rolling. And that's really it. Like, outside of the things that I said from a religious aspect, I can't really. Let me tell you why I can't be bothered by it, because we already live in a place where we've allowed all the same sex marriage and everything else, and it's normal. So why would I be upset about it from that perspective? Because there's no reason to be, honestly. Because if I was upset about it, then me, who's not a big time practicing Christian myself, the super Christians out there would have done because we know a lot of politicians like this too, but they would have done everything in their power to stop us from being so inclusive, right? But again, we choose what we want to complain about or be offended by, or whatever the case might be. But
that's a very good point, man, because a lot of these super duper Christian folks be doing some downright heinous things, but you can't tell them people nothing. Because like I've
nope.
known plenty of dudes who go to church every Sunday and they got a whole mistress.
There's plenty of women that go to church on Sunday wearing half of what they wore on Saturday night out at the club too. Thank you.
We're not going to let that half Saturday go.
Listen, Moolah said the word I was thinking. Selective outrage. That's exactly what it is. All right, here we go. What's up? All right. It was, look, leftover wings from the Walmart deli. Some red hot honey accent and Kinder. Okay. See, look, we be talking about these leftover recipes, and look at her making a whole just smorgasbord over there of leftover goodness.
To her credit, the Walmart wings ain't bad. To her credit.
I look, but check this. This is important. This comment. Then I made the ranch taste like Wingstop ranch. I see what you did there.
You know what? I'm gonna tell y'all what. Another life hack. HEB got a damn good rotisserie chicken. If you don't feel like fucking cooking, go grab that rotisserie chicken.
Yes. And HEB's ranch. HEB's ranch is sensational. But yeah, that's how we kind of wrap up that real talk. I wanted to put a perspective on there that I don't think a lot of people mostly would have thought that would have came from Gentleman's Talk. But you got to understand, we don't think like everybody else. We don't move like everybody else, and we don't talk like everybody else. So my perspective is not going to be the same as the typical outraged person, because the way I grew up and the way that Outlaw grew up and the way we've matured in this life. Now, had this happened back when I was in my early 20s, it'd have been a whole different reaction. It just would have, because I wasn't grown up yet. But I have learned, and just like Outlaw has learned, that you have to look at things from all the sides and make the most rational reaction. If you decide to make a immediate outlandish reaction, you haven't analyzed the situation as a whole. So we as a culture in this world, as a species of human for that matter, we've already allowed all this stuff to happen. It's a part of our normal culture and society. So, you know, it's not like it's impossible to avoid. Like you can't avoid it. So, and as well as that, me, it doesn't bother me. I'm not offended by the fact that it happened. I was more so bothered by the platform that was used to attempt to promote it, if you will, and that was not necessary. That's just like
Yeah. I'm
it
gonna
looked
say
like
this.
the opening act for a burlesque show in Vegas. That's what it looked like to me.
That's a bad comparison. I'm gonna say this, man. I feel like we live in a culture hinged upon outrage, and I feel like when you're outraged, you can't think straight. Like you said, you're gonna make brash decisions and like get off track and get off balance from what you really need to be focusing on, because a lot of this shit, it don't really fucking matter at the end of the day. Like this whole Olympic shit, I'm gonna forget about this shit tomorrow. But some people just
Yeah,
gonna let this consume them, and they can be pissed off about it, bitching about it online instead of really focusing on what they need to do in their lives. Like
yeah,
honestly, get off the internet. Stop going online and being pissed off. Focus on yourself. Focus on your finances. Focus on your family. Focus on yourself.
yeah,
All this outrage media shit, man, it just wants
yeah.
us to be fucking distracted.
Like I'm still gonna watch the Olympics because I'm a big fan of the Olympics as a whole. So I'm still like I was watching earlier today. I was watching the men's gymnastics do their floor routines because I'm like, bro, this shit is amazing watching these athletes perform their craft.
I
Like
paid attention to the shooting
so
ones. That was
here's
interesting.
so oh so you seen the female John Wick they was talking about.
I seen
But
the female John Wick. I saw the Turkish dad who just come out there just in a regular
hey,
t-shirt with
my man with
no.
the special glasses, hey, that shit was fire.
Yeah,
But I'm gonna tell you one athlete that just blew my mind was the female fencer that competed at 7 months pregnant. That shit was so impressive. Like fencing is such a cool thing to me. Like I enjoy watching fencing. Like it is so cool to watch something that we don't even do shit with swords unless you're in like film these days. Like you don't see a lot of martial artists do this stuff. Like there's no we don't see it. Like, we don't see martial arts competition where they fight with swords and all this stuff. So to see something like fencing that has been around for a very long time and to see this woman perform being 7 months pregnant is a thing of beauty. And then watching the US women's rugby team win the bronze off of basically a runoff touchdown. I think that's a score was a fucking beautiful thing. It was sensational. Watching the weightlifters. I love watching the power lifters, hit a PR at the Olympics. Like if you're gonna hit a personal record of all places, doing it on the grandest stage when everybody's watching, that shit is amazing.
let's not
So,
forget LeBron James is still kicking ass at
bro,
his old age.
LeBron arguably has been the best athlete in the Olympics so far. And the fact that he was one of the flag bearers, and then speaking of controversy, the whole Coco Golf thing, which was extremely unfortunate because that shit was wrong, but that's neither here nor there.
Then we had Snoop with the Olympic torch.
Yeah, man, that shit was like and I love the torch. I love the torch ceremony. Like I love how they do that. I watched that live when it happened. Like that shit was so cool. Like that's something on my bucket list. I would love to be a part of the ceremony of passing the torch. Like for me personally, like I would literally wear my other job's entire uniform for that moment because that is like one of the greatest symbols of doing anything for your country outside of competing for the Olympics is literally passing the torch, the light, the flame that starts the Olympic Games. Like that's like singing the national anthem for an artist. Like that's how beautiful I love the Olympics for that reason. There's so much to do there. Look, hold on, time out. Let's we got it. There's a whole conversation happening here. Back up. China said, "I'm low key mad that I never did gymnastics as a little girl," and then she said, it's all right. I found other ways to get flexible. We find out China over here doing pole dancing classes and shit, doing hot yoga at Hot Works or something.
We didn't put our disclaimer up that this was not for kids, but this is not a kids show. And
Look, listen, my brother, I got you, ladies and gentlemen. If you ain't see it, we're gonna put it up there anyway. Okay. This is our important notice. All right. The show is not intended for children. Yes, I understand you have seen glimpses of my child and Outlaw's child. They do not count in this particular instance because they're kind of here by association anyway. But for the most part, be careful what you let your children watch and be exposed to. We talked about this with the Olympics just a second ago. So just make sure you understand that. See, she laughing because I probably hit that shit spot on. So
I have
said what I
questions,
said.
but
What I said.
I'm not going to ask these questions.
I said what I said. I'm standing on business, and she didn't deny it, so that must mean I was at least halfway right.
You know what? Fuck it. We're not holding back. China, do you got a pole in your room?
Let me find out you went to Spencer's and got that little collapsible pole.
Make sure that thing bolted to your ceiling, because otherwise it's gonna fall.
Make sure it's bolted to a stud.
Yeah,
not just to the not just to the sheetrock. Because if it's just to the sheetrock, yeah, that or you know what? Maybe she got a swing.
I don't think she's a swing type, but you never know.
You never know, though. What is a swing type?
Man, I say this. I'll tell you what, man. On my tender, I'm just gonna say it. Back in my tender days, I encountered some woman who had some very unusual kinks, and we're not gonna kink shame here. And I met a woman who was into suspension and the swings and all that, and not my cup of tea. But you know, I'm not gonna knock it. You try anything once or twice.
Yeah. That's definitely no shame in it. Just interesting. Somebody who really is big into the circus life. That's how I see that.
Man, that whole BDSM world is something else, you know.
Listen,
I'm gonna leave it at that.
Yeah. Hold on. Look, I don't take classes. I could give some, but no. I wish I did have a pole though. I think they sell them on Amazon too. You know, you just missed your window for Prime Day, but this weekend is tax-free weekend.
That is meant for buying your kids school clothes, not fucking stripper poles.
It is great exercise. But listen, she homeschool her kids. She can buy school supplies whatever she want. What you mean?
We see how she got her kids. Not knocking, trying to, you know, if you got the sauce and you got the skills, own that.
Hey, listen. Rihanna said it. I got the sauce. You know I'm saucy. So
that whole album,
yeah,
man.
You see it. We can go on so many damn tangents. Look, wait a minute. Maybe I'm gonna put that on my birthday gift list. Not the P Valley, Lord.
That's I've never heard that one before.
The P Valley? Oh, it's a whole show. It's a whole show. It's a whole thing. Just I'm gonna tell you, as somebody who watched not all of it, I watched enough of it. It's a unique show. Picture if they took a movie like Players Club and turned it into a show. I'm gonna put it to you like that. That's like the easiest way I could ease you into how you should think about a show like P Valley.
My brother, all I get to watch these days is this fucking Bluey. I done watched Bluey from front to back this entire summer about 30 times now. I don't know. I know all the episodes. I can say when the character gonna say they fucking parts. I'm tired of it, bro. Just save me from this shit.
You say y'all got me hollering. Hey, listen. What Mike Epps said, make them holler for $1, do something strange for a little piece of change. I'm trying. Look, she said she was going from the back. I'm trying to see what that felt like, man. My bad, y'all gotta excuse me. I see stuff, I start quoting movies because I be seeing shit. Oh, look, she said you gotta watch P Valley. I'm gonna leave that up to you. If you decide to do that, just like I said, I'll
watch one episode and I'll get back to y'all next week on my thoughts and opinions on the matter.
Oh man, but most importantly, man, this was fun. All right, me and Outlaw doing this. I'm holding it down. DJ Micah B had we'll say a work emergency. That's probably the best way to describe that. Definitely had, he wanted to be here, but some stuff went down in that, all of us are working people. So you know how you be ready to close up shop and some bullshit happen in like the last 45 minutes before you're supposed to clock out or if your salary just leave. That's basically what happened to him. And then of course,
being a manager, he can't walk away from that shit.
Yeah, and he's a manager, so it makes it even worse. And then of course, Mr. Gent, Sherrod, whatever word, however you want to phrase it, he was at work tonight, so he couldn't be here. And Moolage mouth hurt. So So Moolage is just out temper, because he can't speak right now. He can be petty with his keyboard fingers, but he can't be petty with his words like he like to be.
Yeah.
So and they having a whole conversation about polls in the chat. I'm gonna recap this so you can have look. And then he followed that, like I said already. You find both on Amazon. Oh no! And then she said, "I love how we went and turned this convo. Look, we talked about the Olympics. All Olympics matter."
You know what? I'll say this. I feel like it ain't outlandish for everybody to have at least one pair of handcuffs.
My man said, "No Diddy." Wait, time out. Where is the no Diddy coming from? Hold on. What part of this conversation?
No
Never
Diddy
mind.
dust? Never mind.
I don't know. I'm gonna leave it right where it's at. Look, comment fingers going.
But no, real talk, y'all. I feel like there ain't nothing wrong with having some toys in the bedroom. Fellas, it ain't nothing wrong with your girl got like a collection of her Pandora's box of toys. Pull them out sometimes, man. I'm just saying, spice it up.
Said the thing, you can't call it a Pandora's box though, because you're not supposed to open Pandora's box. You got to have a better name than that. The point is not to open.
You don't know what's
going
to be in the box. You don't know what every girl got something.
You're right.
Every girl got something.
So listen, you're right, and then you're gonna find out that your girl might be into something that you 100% not into. You know what I'm saying? And she gonna turn your ass into Mr. Peggy. And
we're not talking about. I'm just saying if she want to bring out the rose while you down there eating on it, like I'm just saying. Every girl got a rose these days. It's hot.
Oh, you said that man mouth. Look, Sherrod, listen to the show. This man that had some dental work yesterday.
God damn it, Rod.
Look, she said she gonna make a registry for her birthday, Halloween. Okay.
We already know who she gonna be for Halloween.
100%. Sometimes you gotta peek in my. Let's not and say we did. We're not finna turn this episode into 50 Shades of Black. Okay, we're just not gonna do that.
Sherrod, if you got the turbo power glide twist and suck the power pussy, that's all right, man. I'm not gonna shame you.
Oh my god! So, we're not gonna have gentlemen's talk after dark. It's already about to be 10 o'clock as it is. So we already kind of in the after dark phase of this. So we're not gonna do that. Okay, y'all not gonna do that. Y'all not gonna corrupt the beautiful sanctity of how this show has been going. Because if we start getting dark, all of our fans gonna start looking at us like these motherfuckers.
We might get more fans. You never know. We might be putting people on game.
Hey, listen. We can have an episode about that one day, just not at this point in time. We could talk about it around the fall and around Halloween when people start dressing up, being characters and shit. That sounds like a good time for that. Any closing thoughts though, Outlaw?
Tune in for next week, and we're going to have a sequel to our episode from last week, talking about the wants and needs and expectations from a relationship. We wanted to do it today, but we literally lost half of our staff, and it wouldn't have been right to not have them. So they better bring their asses next week, because we're going to do it with or without them at this point.
Yeah, because we've been chalking this up, talking this up. A lot of content has come our way since we had that last week's episode, and in our chat we started just a lot of shit just started popping up. Mr. Gent dropped a couple of TikTok gems on us, so we done added more content. So we definitely want to have a continuation of that. We would love to 100% have a female perspective on some of these things at some point. And we have them, we have our fans who love to, chime in and let us know. So tune in for that. For me, it's very simple. Big fan of tonight's show. Tonight's show was special. So I appreciate, Outlaw being here and us doing this together like this for the first time. Is a big deal. And I don't know, everything about today has just kind of been a special day. For those who know, of course, you guys know that I'm also a military man. So today actually is my 17-year anniversary since the day that I raised my right hand and swore in and decided to put on my uniform. So pretty much my entire life, I have worn a uniform. And so now we have crossed over a new threshold, because 17 years just sounds it doesn't sound right.
That's literally half your life.
The more I keep saying it, it just don't sound right. But I don't regret my decision. I embrace my decision, and I've had a storybook career. Like, I can write a book about my career because I've had so much fun. I've done so much. I've learned so much. I've learned a lot of lessons, my ups, my downs, but like, I wouldn't be who I am today without that side of my life. I just wouldn't. Like, one of my main reasons for joining was to be an overall better man. And I started at a very young age, and I had to grow up, and I went through my immaturities. I went through my mistakes. I did all my things. And here I am now, about to be 35. I'm a girl dad, you know, got a wife, got all the things, on house number 2, you know, planning my retirement property and all these things. And I'm happy, man. I'm content. So there's that. So the chat is insane. I don't even know if I want to put.
I'm not even looking at the chat. I'm afraid to look at it.
Listen. They talking about the rose and how it brings the waterworks and how we
what
need.
Was that song by Tyler? Make me wet.
Yeah. And then
yeah.
China said we need an after dark episode, not on YouTube. I don't even know how that's gonna rock, but we're gonna leave it at that. Sherrod talking about some rain down on me. Lord help us. Mulut said he's gonna drop a wiki how-to next week on the rose making the waterworks happen. China's gonna put herself in timeout. She said good night. I'm putting myself in timeout. Moo said he'd give rose water a new definition. Sherrod talking about getting a towel.
I'm gonna say this about the tile. That shit don't fucking work. It's still gonna soak through. Just own up to it and just change the sheets.
Just accept the fact that you're about to do laundry.
Yeah, like don't all that trying to prep for it, man. Wash your sheets. Honestly, I'm gonna say this: if you don't wash your sheets after every time you have sex, you nasty.
That part. But that's a whole nother conversation for a whole other time period in life. But like I said, chat, y'all deal what y'all do best, man. We appreciate y'all, man. We love y'all, man. Y'all, we should see the full Infinity Gauntlet back together next week, man. But tonight you just had, I don't know what stones we would all represent. I guess that's a conversation we should figure out at some point, because that would be interesting to know what stones we are. But anyway, having 2 of the stones out of the 5 is still pretty powerful. So for us to be able to provide this for you guys today, and prepare y'all for next week, man. Y'all get ready for the fireworks, man, because it's only gonna get more wild and exotic from here on out. Sherrod, shut the hell up. Talking about waterproof sheets. None of that shit works. He bought the motherfuckers off of Temu. Head ass. Anywho, I digress. Chat, love y'all, man. Y'all kept the show doing what it do best, man. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all. And as per usual, Mr. GQ Majors and Mr. Outlaw Downey Jr., man, we are
motivation in you and inspire the world to do what you can. If you love it, then fuck it, get through it. Yeah. Mumble mentality activated. I waited for so long. Get burned